Welcome back to Beyond the Vision. I'm Vanna. I run Vanna's Visions on Instagram, and I'm here to show you how to use your space to create content. As college students, we don't have much. You're either in a dorm, you're in an apartment, or you're living at home with your parents. While all of those are valid options when you're in college, they don't necessarily provide the most space to create content, whether that's videos, photos, whatever. You kind of have to work with what you have, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Having a small space can feel very limiting as a creative. You think that your ideas can't come to light and your thoughts can't really happen because you don't have the space. But as you can see, I'm creating content and I am sitting on my full-size bed in my studio apartment. I don't have much. My tripod is in the only free space that's on my floor, and that's okay. Learning how to move around that space and make changes to your space that can open up areas for you to film or for you to take pictures means a lot. It'll push you a lot further than what you realize. People like to see that you can work with small spaces, especially if you're working with corporations. They don't always have a huge studio or a big warehouse for you to come film in. A lot of the time, it's just a small office. And you have to be able to know how to work around that. And this is the perfect place to learn how to do it. So, gear is not always everything. But knowing how to use the gear that you have is what's important. So, the most important things when it comes to gear is knowing the focal lengths on your camera, having good audio, and having good lighting. Natural light is going to be your best friend when it comes to things like this. Use your windows, use skylights if you have them, but make sure you're utilizing that. Knowing when the best time to film is. Right now, for me, it's about 6 p.m. in September, which means the sun is going down pretty soon. So I'm losing light, which means I have to move pretty quickly if I want to get this video out. But being mindful of those times can help you do a whole lot more than trying to make sure you have these super expensive lights to light your scene, because that's not realistic as a college student. You're not going to have access to things like that. You're going to have more access to windows or going outside or going into classrooms that have lights rather than buying $200, $300 lights. I have a few inexpensive lights for when I'm shooting in darker scenarios, but even those aren't always necessary if you know how to set your exposure triangle, which will be another episode because that's a topic all in itself. But knowing your settings on your camera and knowing how to work with the space is going to be super important when it comes to knowing your gear and making the content you want. Another thing that I had mentioned was focal lengths. Focal lengths make a difference. You don't always want to just zoom in or zoom out to make something fit into frame. You sometimes have to pick up and move your camera physically. A lot of popular focal lengths for interviews are 35, 70, and 85. Sometimes you don't have space to zoom into 85 and move your camera to the other side of the room because you have a counter in the way, or you have a couch in the way, or you literally don't have space in your room to move your camera that far away. But that's when those shorter focal lengths come into play. 35 is really good, and that's what I'm shooting at right now. But some people even go further than that and do 24 or 16 to get that super wide angle view of their entire room. That also makes your room look a lot bigger. So it makes it easier to make that content and make it seem like you know what you're doing a little bit more. But I say that to say this: while I have top of the line gear, I have a Canon R8 with a 24 to 105 f4 lens. You don't need those types of things to start creating content. You can start on just your phone. Phones now have amazing cameras. Like, I have an iPhone 13 that has a 4K camera that can record at 60 FPS with slow-mo, cinematic, all of that. You don't need the newest camera or the newest device to make your content. You just gotta have a vision. Being able to creatively write out or plan out a vision is the most important thing as a creative. I've taken the smallest spaces, like my bedroom back home or my parents' garage, and made them into full-on studios with some pretty cheap stuff. I got a $30 backdrop stand and a $50 roll of paper to make a photography studio with some $30 lights from Walmart, and I got really good content out of that. I got really good photos. While I'm doing my photos, I make sure I'm doing behind the scenes so that I create even more content. It's more about seeing something and staying consistent with what you want to see. It's not about gear. It's not about having a huge space. It's about being consistent and getting to what you want to do with what you have. So, while your room may not seem like a studio, with some creativity, you can definitely turn it into one. If you want to learn how to do that more, or see how I do it on a daily basis, follow me on Instagram and TikTok, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.